All right, folks, it's September, and Labor Day is currently in our rearview mirror, which means time is running out in the regular season, and the Blue Jays better fix their bullpen.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of us is right here on the YouTubes. Post comments down there, and then whatever social media you use the hashtag EverydaySully. It helps us figure out who is out there, who is listening. And more importantly, I get to figure out where I get to see your comments and put them on here. My voice went up there. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, before we get into a lot of statement games today, there were two major statement games played today. One involved the Toronto Blue Jays, of which the statement was not what they wanted it to be. And the other was played between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers in what could be an NLCS preview. There were a lot of big games today. I'm not going to, bemoan that there were some games that were very impressive. Juan Soto hit a key grand slam. The Mets won a game they needed to win against a very, very good team. That would be the Detroit Tigers, who have images of having the best record in the American League dancing in their heads. What was the final score of that one? The Mets, so I was 10-8. It was a bigger score than you thought it would be. The Astros, who sometimes the Angels can be a pain in their butt, especially when Soriano is pitching for the Angels. And the Angels took a lead in the fourth inning, but they did what they had to do, and the Astros wound up winning that 8-3. That was a solid statement for them. The Cubs, who we forget about, but they're still a playoff team, and they won with a walk-off game against the Atlanta Braves. Quality statement right there. And some games are actually, and the Red Sox were able to win that game against the Guardians, a game where the Guardians had an early lead, but the Red Sox got key hits when they needed it, and Bello pitched well enough to win, a concept that I wish more teams would grasp. Pitch well enough to win, and maybe we won't see so many arms explode. And we'll get into one of the big stars that we still have to keep an eye out for. But in many ways, I'll get I'll do the trivia question later. Because a game that really intrigued me, and I watched not the whole thing, I watched the final few innings, were Toronto versus Cincinnati. And Toronto was in first place, and they really, really, and did I mention really want to get that number one seed. They really want to hopscotch over the wild card series and keep away the Yankees and the Red Sox. And the Yankees, of course, were idle because why would you have a team play on Labor Day? Oh, by the way, I made a mistake. I made a mistake in the previous episode where I talked about teams having Labor Day off. I said that the Cardinals had the day off. I was wrong. Cardinals did not have the day off. They played Sacramento in St. Louis. So I missed that. The other teams I mentioned, the Pirates, Los Angeles, the Yankees, and the other one, I forget who off the top of my head. But the Cardinals wish they had the day off because Sacramento clobbered them 11-3. Former Oakland pitcher Sonny Gray got the loss in that one. The Cardinals are done. The Cardinals are not there. But the Reds still have a pulse. And if they have a solid September and the Mets fall apart, well, they could sneak on in there. And they took a 2-1 lead into the ninth inning. And it looked like it was, and Hunter Green pitched great. He's a terrific pitcher for Cincinnati. Bassett pitched well, but it was, not good enough. There was a 2-1 game. And then the Blue Jays woke up. Bichette wound up hitting a home run off of Pagan. Varsho hit a home run off of Pagan. Next thing you know, it was 4-2. And then came those words that causes a shudder throughout all of Canada. And that was, here comes the bullpen. Jeff Hoffman couldn't pitch today. Louis Varland couldn't pitch today. Sir Anthony Dominguez, who I always think of his name as Sir Anthony Dominguez. I'm sure it's not the only one. None of them were available today. And so Schneider had to cut and paste a bullpen together, and it was a calamity. It was an absolute calamity. And the only thing that kept it, I mean, the one thing worked in their favor at one point was a double that was hit by who the heck hit it? It was I can't remember off the top of my head. It was I think it was by Bader. Hit a ball. It must have been Bader. Hit a ball for. No, I'm looking at the wrong game. No wonder I can't figure out what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I got the wrong box score in front of me. There was who did get that hit? It doesn't matter. It was Friedel. Thank you. It was Orange Juice. Friedel got a double that got lodged in the padding of the right field wall, which for one pitch gave the Blue Jays a reprieve. But in the end, the combination of Nance and Little did piddly-poo, allowed 4 hits in 1/3 of an inning, and allowed 3 runs to come in to score. Now, a week or so ago, I did a whole podcast. I did a podcast of what to do with Mizorowski. I'm going to bring that up in the second segment. But I said the Blue Jays have to do something because they have the bats to win, and they have the starting rotation to win. Now, Scherzer wasn't available to pitch recently, and hopefully he'll be healthy, down the stretch run. And Bieber pitched great his first game, not so much the next one. But they have a good starting rotation, the Toronto Blue Jays do. And their bullpen has been horrible in August, has been absolutely horrible. They had a 4.76 ERA in the month of August with 5 blown saves and a 14.2 walk rate. I mean, think about a 4.75 or 4.76 ERA. Sorry, this is according to sportsnet.ca. Means that every other inning they're going to let up a run. You can't have that. That's on an average. You can't have that from your bullpen. You can't have every other inning you coughing up a run. And they are going to make the playoffs. They are. They aren't going to have. They're not going to pull a fried chicken and beer and video games of the 2011 Red Sox. They'll probably win the division. They have a 2.5 game lead with about a month to go. The Yankees, we'll get to them at the end. We'll have to see how they play against good teams. The Red Sox, a little bit unpredictable. The Blue Jays are in control and will no doubt make the postseason. But this is a franchise that hasn't advanced in the postseason since 2016. And I don't believe they've won a postseason game since then, since making it to the ALCS in 2016. I think, though, just going off of my top of my head, their last postseason win was Game 4 of that ALCS. And the only reason they won that game was because Cleveland ran out of starting pitchers and basically pulled a bullpen game. They did what Los Angeles did last year in Game 4 of the World Series then. And so they didn't get swept, but there you go. Now, there is talk right now, because they've been using a 6-man rotation. That's got to end. They got to put someone in the bullpen who is an effective pitcher. Now, it looks like, according to what Schneider was saying, it's probably going to be Lauer. Fine. You got to put someone. If Lauer goes to the bullpen and you have a rotation with Scherzer, assuming he's healthy enough to pitch, Gausman, Bassett, that's pretty good. And you have Barrios as well. But, you got to, you have, and Bieber's in that rotation. You have to change something up here. But the other thing they're going to have to do is you can't assign roles anymore. One thing that Ozzie Guillen did very well when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005, there are 2 things that he did. He trusted his starting pitchers and relieved them only when they needed relief. They threw a couple of complete games that year. But the other thing is he mixed and matched the bullpen very well. Yes, he predominantly went to Bobby Jenks for closing roles, but for the rest of the time, he used whichever pitcher was best for that particular situation instead of putting everything into specific lanes. Now, I've never been a big fan of Schneider as a manager, but he's going to have to earn his keep now and show his worth and do some other cliches because right now, this is the absolute example of a team that is going to have a great regular season, get to the postseason, and be out of it before you can say the 1996 Texas Rangers because of their bullpen issues. And they have to figure out now because they have a couple of weeks to go and they have a few weeks where they can fiddle about, but they cannot afford to waste any more time. This is a year where they can win the pennant. You have an unpredictable Yankee team, an unreliable Red Sox team, and a mediocre American League. They could win the pennant this year. But if they don't fix what's going on in the bullpen, do you know what? Nope. All right, let's hear from our good friends over at Upside. Hey, baseball fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop me leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app at the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 20 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out any time to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers may vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. It's now time to hear from our good friends over at Game Time. You know all about Game Time, not Upside. Game Time. There it is. Sorry. We're at Game Time. Now, there's nothing like watching a baseball game live, and we've got a few more weeks to do it before the regular season is over. The energy, no matter where you are, whether I'm in a huge stadium like Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium, or I went to see the Sacramento A's play in Sacramento in a little tiny stadium, the energy is really great. But getting tickets, that's the tough part. You got the lines, login screens, surprise fees. Takes the fun out of it. Let me tell you, but I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it simple. Even if I'm at the park in Sutter Health Park in Sacramento, or Dodger Stadium earlier this year, or what is the park in? It's Oracle Park now. I almost said AT&T Park. Candlestick. Now, let me tell you, every time I bought a ticket at a different place, do you know what? I was able to know exactly the seat I wanted to get to. I could see the exact view from the seat, and the fees are included. You know the total up front. No surprise fees at checkout. And it's faster, easier, and less stressful than any other way I've ever bought a ticket, especially online. Now, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time. When? Do it today. Flawless ad read. Mizorowski played again for the Brewers. And once again, he pitches 75 pitches. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. They lifted him in the fifth. I still think he should be the headliner. I still think you bring him in the seventh. He pitches the seventh, eighth, and ninth. Mizorowski comes in. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. But this was a statement game for the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, the Milwaukee Brewers have been playing very, very well. Thank you very much. Obviously, they have the best record in baseball. They have 85 wins right now, and they handed the ball to Mizorowski. And you're taking a look at them right now. The Brewers, I mean, obviously they're essentially for 90 wins. They're probably going to win 95 games, and they have a really excellent shot for having the best record in all of baseball. And they're winning the games they're supposed to win, and they're playing hard against the team. And they have a very good record against teams with winning, with solid records. Now they lost the final game to Toronto the other day, but this was a big statement game. As Philadelphia, who obviously are having a fabulous season from Schwarber. Obviously, Bryce Harper is still a quality player. Obviously, Trey Turner can still get big hits. It was Marsh today who was the big hero. 4 hits and scored 2 runs. And Bader wound up going 3 for 5, and he drove in 3. Harper hit a home run off of Mizorowski. Turner got a triple and stole a base. He's got 36 stolen bases this year. Now, they didn't get a great performance out of Walker out of the starting rotation. And Robertson wet the bed out of the bullpen, blew a save. But in the end, it was the Phillies who rallied for 2 runs in the 9th inning. Now, they got a big hand by a blown call of a check swing. But the Phillies are doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm going to give the Phillies a lot of credit because a couple of weeks ago, Zach Wheeler went down for the season. And Zach Wheeler, I thought, was a gigantic piece of the puzzle. That he was having an ace like Zach Wheeler allowed them, they have obviously a terrific pitching staff. They got a good lineup. They've got good, and they've been able to make some adjustments in the bullpen, obviously. And this is a team that, probably thought they should have gone to the World Series a couple of years ago, and probably last year were still, smarting from their loss to the Mets. Duran's been a terrific acquisition since coming over there, but remove Wheeler from that rotation that has Luzardo pitched great the other day in a losing cause. Sanchez is should be in the Cy Young conversation. I have no compunction about saying that. I would still give the Cy Young award to Paul Skeens, but Sanchez is having a tremendous season. Suarez is doing fine. You don't always know what you're going to get from Walker or Nola. And today announced that they were bringing in Walker Buehler, not to confuse with Taijuan Walker, Walker Buehler, Taijuan Walker. Walker Buehler, who didn't work out with the Red Sox, and it was kind of a numbers game when they DFA'd him. And the Phillies thought, you know what, we're gonna take a flyer on him. But the thing that's really impressive to me is that since finding out that they were going to lose Taijuan Walker for the rest of the season, the Phillies are 8-5. Now it's not like they're 10-2 or whatever, but it was like they have been winning. They've been winning the games they need to win. And going up against a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, going up and knowing that the Mets have won their game against the what would they play? Detroit. Thank you. For a minute, I forgot who they played. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the fact that the Phillies have taken this great challenge and they have not let go. And they've held the Mets at bay. They're still 6-game lead with less than a month to play. The Phillies are probably going to cruise to a division title. And as of right now, they're holding off the Dodgers as well. They're probably not going to catch the Brewers. They're 4 games back of the Brewers in the loss column, but these head-to-head games are the way to crawl back into to get into that conversation and to potentially get the home field advantage in the National League, but also to hold off LA. Because without Wheeler, if they had Wheeler, then I think their rotation would be so deep that it wouldn't matter if they play the wild card series or not. But without him, I think it's imperative that they get one of the 2 buys because they're going to throw their ace at someone else's non-ace. And we're at the point of the year where you can say if the playoffs started today and have that mean something, because Labor Day is in the rearview mirror. Now, if the playoffs started today, the Brewers would have the top seed in the National League. The Phillies would be second. And the two of them would take those days off for the wild card series and be able to rest up, get their team lined up the way they want it lined up, have their aces ready to go in game one. LA would be playing the Mets. Big market teams. One of them will be eliminated. The Cubs will be playing the Padres. There is a well, if LA plays the Mets, then guaranteed either Los Angeles or New York won't make it out of the wild card. And I would personally pick San Diego over Chicago. So the first time out through the wild card series, either LA and New York and Chicago would be gone. Now, then I'm sure some Cub fan thinks I'm being disrespectful. The Cubs are 2.5 games ahead of the Padres. I like the Padres better. So sue me. Sue me. But the Mets and the Dodgers, if you take away Yamamoto, from the Dodgers, if you take away each one of their number one starters and force them to play the Phillies in game one, that puts the Phillies in a huge advantage. And if they've done that even without Zach Wheeler, do you want? That shows me a lot. I think Milwaukee, this particular game meant more to Philadelphia than it did to Milwaukee. And that's not a knock on Milwaukee. I'm just saying the Phillies need to win to avoid that opening series because their starting pitching, while still very good, lost one of the big key Jenga pieces. And they showed us a lot. Now, two teams are going to show us a lot pretty soon, starting on Tuesday. We're going to talk about it in the third segment. But before we do, I want to just talk about we have the requests that we have here at Locked On. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey team to learn more about our listeners and make our podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, answer questions about our advertising. And what you need to do is you need to go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered in a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you'll also find the link in the show notes. And thanks so much for helping us out. All right, let's hear from our good friends over at Monarch Money right there. Now, most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch Money is for you. Monarch Money does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, you can get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money, even without touching a spreadsheet. Now, you can identify you're maybe not saving as much as you thought. Monarch Money can help find inefficient investment allocation and discover forgotten 401ks from your past jobs. And do you know what? You can maximize your investments. You can increase your savings rate. And you can also find out those things that, oh my gosh, I forgot about those subscriptions. That's sucking money right out of my account. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, I still forgot to do the trivia question. The trivia question was, where was it? Right here. What two teams went to the World Series despite having a negative run differential for the season? That's of all time. And I'm going to give it to Jackson Van Hooser, who got a couple of ones wrong. I gave him a hard time. So when he got one right, I'm going to give him a nice time. The answer is the 2023 Diamondbacks a few years ago had a negative run differential. And the 1987 Minnesota Twins, our most bizarre World Series champion ever. So there you go, the 23 Diamondbacks and the 87 Twins. Funny thing is, in 07, the Diamondbacks also had a negative run differential, but they also had the best record in the National League. They won 90 games with a negative run differential with Bob Melvin at the helm. That was a strange year. Strange year. The Astros won again, and they are in first place, and they are going to be playing the New York Yankees. This is a gigantic series. Well, it's a huge series for the Astros, of course. They want to win the division. They want to hold off Seattle. They want to be in control and in a winnable American League. And they've got back Christian Javier. They've got back Alvarez. They've got back Carlos Correa. They've got the band back together, Elwood. And so they want to win another pennant. They want to get back to the World Series. They made the World Series a controversy-free World Series in 2021, won it in 2022, felt like they probably should have gone back in 2023, stubbed their toe last year, and here they go. And so now they want to basically show off that they're still one of the big dogs and have a rightful chance to win another pennant. And Framber Valdez, who had a rough go of it in some recent starts, is still an ace. He's still a tremendous pitcher. And he's going up against an ace with Fried, who's pitched really well his last couple of games for the Yankees. Only one game separate the Yankees and the Astros right now, but the Astros aren't thinking wild card. They're thinking division. Now, the Yankees are only 2.5 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays, so they may still get there. But we've all know the situation with the Yankees. They beat the snot out of teams that are bad. They just took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. Now, the White Sox actually played them tough. They almost took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, but the Yankees won that series. We saw the Yankees sweeping the Nats and sweeping this team and sweeping the Cardinals and doing well against the Rays and beating up the Twins and all these teams that are no good right now. They beat the stuffing out of them. And when they have to play the Red Sox, or if they have to play the Blue Jays, or an actual good team, they suddenly look like, what do I do? What do I do? It's not subtle. And we've talked about this. So when they played that terrible, losing 3 out of 4 to Boston, was about a week or so ago, and then they went on a rampage, winning games in big, huge numbers, hitting home runs at will. Nobody was impressed because we saw, they did what they had to do, but it was like, okay, but this is who we know you are. So now they have a chance to show that's not who they are, that they actually are a legitimate pennant contender, that they can face a team and play them very well. And right now they're going into Houston, a place where, let's be kind, hasn't been kind to them. And it's not all because of the trash cans. They've beaten them without trash cans. Now the Yankees can show something. They can prove a lot of their critics wrong. Hell, I was talking about replacing the manager while they're on a 7-game winning streak. I don't think there's a Yankee fan out there who looks at this Yankee team and thinks right now this is a team that's going to win the pennant. And that's a big problem because it's a very winnable American League pennant. They can prove a lot of their critics wrong by winning a series against Houston in Houston. With all the 7-game winning streak, there's not a Yankee fan I know out there who wasn't like, okay, this is good, but the big test is coming up. Big test is here. Big test is here. The Yankees are going to show what, and they could do it. I'm just talking objectively. I'm not talking about what I'm rooting for. They can potentially do it, but they have to do it. And if they lose game 1 with Fried on the mound, it's going to be a huge punch to the face. If they win game 1 with them having Framber Valdez on the mound, that's going to show us all a little something. So we're going to see what they've got. And starting Tuesday, there's not a lot of time for them to figure out how to beat good teams. And there's not a lot of time for the Blue Jays to figure out what to do with their bullpen. But there is some time for Philadelphia to show, hey, we're doing all right. And Walker Buehler doesn't have to be Zach Wheeler. He just has to be a decent pitcher for 4 weeks. Hey, let's just bring up the fact that it's another big moment for Locked On college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate football guide and college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local expert. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch college football kickoff every single Thursday throughout the season. It's on Fire TV. And let's talk about the trivia question. Who was the first pitcher for an expansion team to earn a postseason victory? The first pitcher of an expansion team. Baseball expanded in the early 1960s. Who was the first pitcher for an expansion team to earn a postseason victory? That's a trivia question. I know you can get it, Jackson Van Hooser. Put your answers right down here and follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Talking about a shaky Blue Jays bullpen, a strong Phillies showing, and the Astros and Yanks looking at each other and saying, who will blink first? This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.